No. I got an email from some people asking about something that our wildlife caller mentioned about. It quoted me as saying when something hasn't worked for 50 years, time to try something new. I was quoting Obama. It was Obama when explaining why he was working with the Iranians to get a nuclear weapon or why he's doing foreign policy the way he's doing it or anything else. It was Obama who said what you're doing hasn't worked for 50 years. It's time to try something new. I simply said, okay, well then let's have a new rule that says any city that experiences riots and has been predominantly governed, riots and economic tumult and distress, any city that experiences riots and economic collapse that has been predominantly governed by a single political party, then that party should be disqualified from participating in any solutions. Under Obama's theory that when what you're doing hasn't worked for 50 years, it's time to try something new. Well, the liberals have been running Baltimore for decades. Liberal Democrats have been running Baltimore for decades. Ditto Detroit, ditto any number of cities. They should not be part of the solution. What they're doing isn't working. Time to try something new. Capitalism. I was just making a point. I'm just taking the guidance offered by our president, Barack Hussein. Oh, greetings. Welcome back, Rush Limbaugh, the EIB network. And it's great to have you here. 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. I have other sound bites from Dr. Carson here, who did announce his candidacy today for the presidency. He did so in Detroit. Remember, he's the former director of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins University Hospital, which is in Baltimore. We have 3 bites. Here you go with the first one.
One of the rules in Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals is you make the majority believe that what they believe is no longer relevant. And no intelligent person thinks that way. And the way you believe is the only way intelligent people believe. And that way, they'll keep silent. Because I'll tell you something. They don't care if you don't believe what they believe, as long as you keep your mouth shut. And that's what we have to start doing. We have to start opening our mouths.
He's talking about pushback. He's talking about actually opposing some of this stuff rather than acquiescing to it, which is what the Republican Party establishment, for the most part in Washington, has done. Here's the next one.
This country was envisioned by individuals who wanted everything to be surrounding the people, of, for, and by the people, not of, for, and by the government. And the government was to respond to the will of the people, not the people to the will of the government. We've allowed the whole thing to be turned upside down. We've gone far beyond what our Constitution describes, and we've begun to just allow it to expand based on what the political class wants, because they like to increase their power and their dominion over the people. And I think it's time for the people to rise up and take the government back.
And the final bite.
We've allowed the purveyors of division to become rampant in our society and to create friction and fear in our society. People are afraid to stand up for what they believe in because they don't want to be called a name. They don't want an IRS audit. They don't want their jobs messed with or their families messed with. But isn't it time for us to think about the people who came before us and what they were willing to do so that we could be free? Nathan Hale, a teenage rebel, caught by the British, ready to be executed. He said, "My only regret is that I have but one life to give for my country."
You know what is remarkable about this, and what is great about it, is he boils this down to its simplistic eloquence. The founding of this country, how it was envisioned, what it used to be, what it has become. And I hope it's effective. You know, we all, and I think it will be with certain groups of people, we've all sought ways, every one of us, I know you have, we've all sought ways to make gains or inroads with what is called a low information voter. We've all tried to find out how to reach these people. So we make the assumption the low information voter buys into big government, buys into the Democrat Party, buys in and supports all of this expansion. For whatever reason, they think it's compassionate, they think it's helpful to people, or what have you. And in fact, it's destructive. And Dr. Carson has one of the most basic and elementary techniques for explaining this. I mean, this would suffice as a civics class for people learning it for the first time, and it may be that's what's called for with certain people in the low information crowd. This could be the exposure he gets. It could enlighten who knows how many millions of people, because he clearly says this, all of these things in a way that is not hard to understand, and it's not confrontational or provocative or controversial. Of course, until the left and the media get hold of it and get hold of him and start trying to distort his words and his purpose, which they have already done and will continue to do.